Hi there folks, well, welcome back to my channel. For this video I'm actually going to be doing another little book review. Okay, this one isn't a Scottish novel, but it is one that I have previously mentioned in our chat in another video that I've done. Because the book that I'm going to be looking at, I received as part of Jolabokaflod last year from my best pal. So that is the Icelandic Christmas tradition where everybody gets a book on Christmas Eve. But again, I have done videos about that in the past, so if you're wanting to see them, they're all on the channel, and I'll try and link in the one I did last year, because it is talking about this book. So the book I'm going to be talking about for this video is called Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes, and it is a retelling of the story of Medusa. So again, if you look closer to the title, the cover of the book, it does say, as its subtitle, Medusa story. So I will talk a bit more about this in depth in just a moment. Again, a bit of housekeeping first. If you're enjoying my channel, if you're enjoying my videos, if you can click on the subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channel's coffee.com page, the channel's PayPal account, in the description bar below, and in a pinned comment in the comment section. So with that out the road, on to the main topic of the video. So as I was saying, the book that I'm going to be looking at is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. It is a retelling of Medusa's story, as I was saying, and I have to admit, I do love the artwork that's used. So obviously you've got the head of Medusa there, so you can see that got the snakes, you've got just the way it's done, it's just really simple done, it's almost like a mask. Very much does kind of remind me of the Gorgon faces the Greek soldiers used to have on their shields as a way to try and scare the enemy. And obviously you've got other little nods to Greek mythology. So you've obviously got Poseidon's trident, got Athena's spear, as on both sides of the cover, and you've got obviously these starbursts here, or sunbursts, which refer to Helios, which is essentially the manifestation of the sun in Greek mythology. And I've also got these owls on the top corners, which would be another reference to Athena, who is, again, one of the main players in this novel. Because most people will know the story of Medusa, that she essentially was a gorgon, was attacked by Apollo in one of Athena's temples, and Athena essentially blamed Medusa for the attack that happened, and essentially cursed Medusa to have a head full of snakes rather than hair, and whenever she looked at someone, they would get turned to stone. And so essentially Medusa was always seen as being this monstrous figure within Greek mythology, that she was something to be defeated, something to be destroyed, and is then later weaponised. And essentially her story usually ends when Perseus, who is the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, so he's a demigod, is essentially sent to kill Medusa and essentially take her head as part of a quest in order to try and protect his mother. So usually, most cases, Medusa's story ends right there with her death. But we'll talk about that in a bit more depth, because that's not exactly the end point for this. So, as I was saying, with most of the Greek myths, most of the the stories people know about Medusa, she is very much presented as being this monster. But with Natalie Haynes, she does very much humanise Medusa and try and present her as being the victim. She is Apollo's victim, she's Athena's victim, she's Perseus' victim. And she essentially is just trying to live her life. She's living with her Gorgon sisters. She's not causing any trouble. She's not causing anyone any harm or any hurt. And she just becomes the victim of the circumstances that surround her. And within Stoneblind, or with the reverse of how Medusa is usually presented, there's something of a reversal of how people like Perseus and the gods are presented. It's like in a lot of the retellings of this story, Perseus is very much presented as being this young gallant hero who is helped by the gods who want to see him succeed, and they help him along the way in order to achieve what he set out to achieve. And the gods themselves are within Stoneblind are very much presented as being petty, spoiled and entitled, that they have all this power, they have eternity, and they're just bored little kids who get on each other's nerves, annoy each other, have these quarrels and these spats, which end up impacting negatively on the lives of those around them, on the mortals who worship them as divine beings. And essentially there's this love of power throughout the book. Okay, it's as seen with the gods, but it's also seen amongst some of the human characters that there are people who are kings or queens or just have positions of power and authority who abuse the positions that they have. And again, very much like the gods, bring about suffering and pain to those around them because they can just do what they want. And it does lead to a lot of suffering, as I was saying, and pretty much is summed up with the old adage of absolute power corrupts absolutely. That if you have all this power, you're not going to be caring about how you impact it or have adds a role in somebody else's life, somebody else's pain. And Perseus himself, unlike a lot of the retellings, as I was saying, where he is presented as being heroic and out to achieve something noble by defeating the monster, is presented as being just another pawn in the gods' game. That they're just going, well, I'm trying. There could be within the gods' squabbles. One's trying to get back at one of the others, and they end up using a lot of pawns, a lot of humans as a pawn. But also with Perseus as well, even though he does start out as being this young kid who doesn't really know what he's doing, is only thinking that he's wanting to go out and try and protect his mother, you do start seeing glimpses of arrogance within him. You do get to see these glimpses of, he's just want to take the easy road. He's just want to go get Medusa's head, get home, and do what he wants to do. And it's like, he is very much presented as being not as heroic as it is normally presented. So very much kind of looking at it from a different perspective. And as I was saying earlier on, with most of the tellings of the Medusa story, her story ends when she loses her life. And she ends up losing her head. But within Stone Blind, her story doesn't end there. Yeah, that essentially it's almost as if her childhood, her innocence, her wanting to protect and look after other people, that ends. It's almost like as if her childhood comes to an end when she loses her life, because her head is still conscious within the story. It's still conscious, and she knows what's going on. She is aware of what's happening. She is aware that she's being used to turn people to stone. That it gets to the point where Perseus is almost taking a sadistic joy in using Medusa's head to essentially kill people. And this is actually brought up by a couple of the characters within the book who end up crossing paths with Perseus. They actually do comment the fact that, yeah, he's enjoying killing too much. He's taking too much glee in this. So again, it's very much having that dark edge to what people often see as being heroic, or as often presented in a heroic light. And it's almost as if, as well, that after Medusa's death, you really start to hear her voice. You really start to hear her point of view on what's going on and what's happening. What she didn't really get before, it was more from the point of view of her sisters or from other characters. But you do start to really hear her voice more. And you do really see that, yeah, the innocence, that's gone. She's more cynical now. But well, with Stone Blind, it does very much play, as well as playing with the idea of absolute power corrupting absolutely, it does also kind of play with that idea of history, or in this sense, mythology, being written by the winners. That those who are in positions of power and authority are the ones who get to say who are the monsters. They get to say who the heroes are. But with Stone Blind, it's very much kind of showing that what the creatures who are traditionally seen as being monsters, that might not necessarily be what they actually are. They may not be the ones who are actual monsters. That is, they may be the ones who are seen as being the heroes, seen as being the damsels. They might actually be more monstrous than they're often given credit for. And this is very much seen with Andromeda and her parents. That her parents are perfectly willing to accept that she has to be sacrificed in order to appease Poseidon. They don't fight for her. They don't stand up for her. They just go, okay, this is very upsetting. Oh, we're losing our daughter. But just roll over and just give up. And it's not until Perseus comes in and saves the day that they start kind of to the extent they try and gaslight her a wee bit. And you do very much kind of start to question a lot of ideas of monsters, heroes, and perspectives on different stories. And what we're actually hearing. I have to admit, one of my favourite quotes from media is one of the lines from Star Wars Return of the Jedi, when Luke confronts Obi-Wan and said about being lied to, and he just says, well, I told you the truth from a certain point of view. And I think books like Stoneblind do sort of play with that idea that you may get told a story but it's from a certain point of view. So you get to see who people in power see as being heroic, who they see as being as monsters. While with other books, other stories, other tellings of the same story, you get to see the other side of the story and get to see the heroes and monsters from, again, a different perspective. And I think that is one thing that I enjoy about these retellings of the myths and legends. That you do get to see a different take on stories that a lot of us have probably known for most of our lives. And I have noticed that there have been quite a few of these retellings on the bookshelves and bookshops. So I think there's one that's called Circe, which is the retelling of, which essentially looking at the witch character from the Odyssey. I think there's also one that looks at the women of Troy, like when Troy falls and is taken by the Greeks. So definitely something that I probably will try and read more of. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed reading Stoneblind. One that I would recommend others to go read. So the chapters are relatively short, so they're quite quick to get through. Yeah, even though the book itself, I would say, is an average size for a novel. It's a fairly quick read for like most readers. And again, I'm a fairly slow reader, but I definitely did enjoy reading Stoneblind, and as I was saying, it is one that I would recommend. So hopefully you will all have enjoyed this video. Hopefully you'll be intrigued by Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.